Man, I remember when the Bills lost to the Eagles. It seems like it was a billion years ago. But after looking back on that, knowing where we are now, second seed ain't bad, right? Like it's not quite meatloaf, but 2 out of 3 ain't bad, and the second seed out of 7, also not bad. Also good is the Mafia Minute presented by Season Gap Fantasy Football. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Please don't forget those flaps. You've been doing it every week, I'm sure. So that means you need to keep doing it so the Bills keep winning. That's how it works. Follow, like, and please subscribe. It's all we ask. Had fun. Give us that thumb. And as far as us, I am Magnum Mills here with Jamie G. He is the big Mafia guy. He is full Bills Mafia all the way. You cut him open, the doctors will be worried about how much blue is mixed in with the red of his blood. I'm just here to host. Jamie D is here to lead you to the promised land, much like his boy. Who is that? Josh Jacobs. Haley Steinfeld. I forget. Who's your guy?
Josh Allen, number 17 for the Buffalo Bills, 4-time in a row AFC East champion. I am Jamie G, Bills Mafia. What's up? I saw you at the airport, at Bills Stadium as the plane came. It's 3-4 in the morning. You guys are out there going nuts. Best fan base in the world. Love you guys. What a win. Shout out to the Bills fans in Miami. I just talked to a dude today. His brother lives in Miami. Big Dolphins fan. I know. I hate it. Was at the game. Over 50% of the fans, it wasn't even close, were Bills fans. Literally half the stadium was nothing but Bills fans. The other half, they were sprinkled in way to show up on the road in a game that mattered most. And Mills, you said it, buddy. You said it. It was the Bills not too long ago were 6-6, and everyone was writing them off. The Bills not so long ago lost a critical game that they really should have won in Philadelphia. But here we are, second seed, 11-6, and for the 4th time in a row, the AFC East Champions. And I don't want to listen to anybody. Bills Mafia, don't let anybody downplay what the Bills just accomplished. Are we done? No, not even close to being done. We got 4 more. But do not let any of the naysayers, any of the haters, any of the butthurt people that are mad that the Bills are the 4th time in a row AFC East champions, you cannot downplay what they just accomplished, considering that they were 6-6 not too long ago. That is incredible. Mills, I'm still fired up on that game. Sunday night, the last game of the season, prime time, baby. And they took care of business. And it wasn't pretty. And here's the only thing I love is everyone panics about, man, they haven't looked good. No. It doesn't matter. You know why? Because they went from not being able to win a close game, period, to literally stacking wins as close games, overcoming their own mistakes, winning down the stretch. That's the mark of a team that's peaking at the right time. I like them going into the playoffs.
Call Landis Morissette. Ironic things about this game was that you got both ends of the Josh Allen experience. Yeah. 30 of 38, 359, 2 touchdowns, 15 carries for 65 yards. Also threw 2 interceptions, lost 1 fumble. One of those was a real backbreaker on 3rd and goal, down in the red zone. You just have to accept that this is the good that comes with the bad, or the bad that comes with the good, whatever way you want to look at it? Or do you think that, they can finally clean this up?
I think they can, but I think, look, there's going to always be a certain element of Josh Allen that's gonna give you some of that. But I think what makes Josh Allen so special is his good is so good. People are used to it now. So, we even have announcers being like, well, that we're not going to talk about it because that's just what Josh Allen does. No, he just shook off 3 300-pound men and got a critical first down when no one thought he could, okay? Running for 7, 8, 9 yards when the game mattered the most. Let's just not say, well, we've seen it before. It's still incredible. But he is going to give you more good than bad, and the good is going to be so high that you can deal with some of that bad. That's just who he is, man. I mean, he's a little bit like, Brett Favre was similar, not comparing the two. They're two totally different quarterbacks, but Brett Favre gave you those huge highs, those unbelievable plays, but he also threw a ton of interceptions. There was 2 or 3 backbreakers in this game in that first half, and then that first drive in the second in the third quarter, where the Bills legitimately gave up 12 points minimum, right? And and that's just with a couple of field goals there. So this game shouldn't even have been as close as it was, in my opinion. But what I like about it is that they found a way to not beat themselves, even though they didn't play their best game. They found ways to win. And if you look at teams who have gone deep in the playoffs, it's teams that find ways to win even when it's not pretty. I mean, the Chiefs have been doing it for years. New England did it for years. So, I mean, this is an important thing for teams to learn how to win games, even when they're not. Your Eagles did it for the last 2 years, right? Not every game is going to be a blowout. And I like that we've seen, it used to be the Bills either beat you by 40 or lose by 3. That has been true here down the stretch the last 5-6 weeks of the season.
I will stand by that. It wasn't fun, but at the end of the day, you got the second seed and you learned a lot of important lessons about what it takes to just win a game. Oh, who gives a shit how? Win the game. You deal with everything else after that. You do whatever it takes. For the most part, the changes haven't been drastic, but you have changed coordinators. It hasn't been for nothing. Say for instance, you brought Uncle Lenny up over Latavius Murray here, trying to get a little bit of a change there. Any worries that you couldn't get the running game going again? James Cook, 13 carries, 36 yards. Uncle Lenny really didn't do much, 20 yards on 7 carries. Ty Johnson is still kind of ancillary. Obviously, Latavius Murray was inactive. Any thoughts on the running game here as far as can they take it to the next level against Pittsburgh?
I think they can. I think a lot of this was credit Miami. They had a game plan. Teams went from being like, we got to figure out a way to stop Stephon Diggs to being like, we got to figure out a way to stop James Cook. And I think that's a credit to Joe Brady and the offense here evolving with a running game. Ty Johnson, had the concussion, went out, 2 touches, 14 yards, was having 7 a carry. That's a nice compliment there. I think they're trying to look for something with Uncle Lenny in terms of being able to pound out games at the end. And they really need to kind of find out what they have there with him. Cook, little bit of a concern. The holes weren't there like they normally were. He dropped a big one for a touchdown. I think that they bounce back against Pittsburgh. Look, when I think the Bills can't run the ball, they run the ball and control the game. So I'm not going to hit the panic button here. But I think it had a lot to do with how Miami was playing the Bills, more so than I'm worried about the Bills' lack of ability to run the football.
I mean, fair enough. You saw the wide receivers come alive. Stephon Diggs, 7 for 87 on 8 targets, no touchdown, pretty efficient. Do you think this qualifies kind of as a bounce back? Do you think he kind of won the battle here with Jalen Ramsey?
I think he did. I mean, and Josh missed him on a would have been a 70-yard touchdown. I mean, he absolutely broke his ankle on a double move.
Yeah, that was rough. Like I don't know. I almost assumed like, oh, maybe Diggs freelance that little bit that got him that open, but the way he reacted, I assumed that was the route he was supposed to run, and yeah, he burned him. Like that was he got you. He had Jalen Ramsey stumbling. That was a great route.
He did, and he missed him. So he hits on that, and all of a sudden he's 8 for $120 and a TD, right? So I mean, I think that he won the battle. I also think that with Gabe Davis going out, just again, not to just go back to the run game, but that also hurt the run. Gabe Davis does a lot in the run game, particularly around helping setting the edge at the second level. He is a really good run blocker. That hurt a little bit too, and being able to try to kind of force the ball to Trent Sherfield. There just wasn't a lot. But with that said, Kincaid came to play. Right? I think he had a similar day with 7 receptions, 84 yards, and 8 targets. So Knox got 2 or 3 and also got the touchdown there at the end. I think we're starting to see, throughout the season here, Kincaid emerge as the better weapon. But it's nice to have Knox, but Kincaid is definitely the better weapon here. So I like the fact that they stepped up. But Mills, we finally got somebody else stepping up, didn't we?
Oh, I'm assuming you're talking about Khalil Shakir, who I have liked again, the guy who is tested very well in the advanced metrics He does very well at separation. He catches the balls that he's supposed to catch, that kind of thing. Wound up with 105 yards on 6 targets. Just a couple of impressive grabs here. I think he can be a piece going forward. But, we'll just tease it a little bit. But Jamie G, the Bills kind of made some ancillary signings in the offseason at the wide receiver position. You mentioned Trent Sherfield already. He did have 3 catches for 24 yards here and a touchdown. And Dante Harty, who we will get to here. But Shakir, dude, just going forward, maybe you can't afford Gabe Davis. Maybe he comes back, whatever. Are you kind of confident that maybe Shakir can kind of inherit a role, something more between, what Davis has done and what Cole Beasley gave you a couple years ago?
I absolutely do. I think he flashed as a rookie. One thing that really impresses me is his yak ability. The yards after the catch with him has been phenomenal all season, but he's more than just a slot guy. He's proven he can go and get it deep, but he can also take that screen for 40 up the sideline. So I really like his ability to kind of be rotated in both at the, in the slot and then out on the Y position, and for wide receiver 2. They can kind of move him around this offense. I really like that. He can come outside, Diggs can come inside. You can put Diggs and Kincaid on the inside and him on the outside, or him and Kincaid on the outside and Diggs on the inside, and vice versa. Creates a lot of mismatches with how defenses have to defend them and what they can put on the field in terms of their packages, whether it's, how many down linemen, how many linebackers. So I really like what they've got there. He stepped up in a big way. And shout out to Khalil Shakir, man. I mean, 6 receptions on 6 targets. The last 4 games that he's been targeted and he's caught every single one. So shout out to Khalil Shakir. Hopefully we have a big game coming from him this coming up week in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, we do love that Shakira, in that we both love Shakira and Khalil Shakir. And we love that the Bills dominated the time possession here, 38:07 to 21:53, almost 17 minutes of time of possession value. That is huge. Jamie G, any thoughts on this? I mean, the Bills ran 77 plays, the Dolphins only 48. Is this more on the defense? Was this the Dolphins' plan to slow down the game? Any thoughts here on how the Bills managed to kind of dominate the time possession despite not running the ball very well?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. They put together 2 or 3 really significant drives in this game that chewed up 8 to 10 minutes. 6, 8, 10-minute drives. And they did it with kind of these small runs, some small passes. And then when Josh needed to, Josh ran the football. And I think he was the leading rusher in this game. So I think they figured out a way to kind of put together these long drives, wearing out that defense and then being able to punch it in. They did it a couple times and actually didn't get any points their first couple of drives in this game. So I think it was more on them and their ability to kind of control the clock in a variety of ways. And it just shows just how versatile this offense can be. That, no question, though, when they're running the football, I don't know that there's a team that can really, I think the Bills can beat anybody when they can run the football and have that balanced attack.
Fair enough. It all comes down to the offensive line, and that's one spot where it's kind of not all sunshine and roses here. Josh got sacked 3 times. The Dolphins defense registered 9 quarterback hits. Those aren't crazy numbers in a vacuum, but you have to remember this is a team that was out their top 2 rushers, had another rusher go out of the game. You have to be at least a little worried, right? I know the Steelers might not have TJ Watt, but still, they're very known for their ability to get at the quarterback. You have to, sew this up, right?
They're stout up front. It's a great defense. They're going to have a really good game plan. I think a lot of this, too, was basically throughout the entire first, call it 2.5 quarters of this game. The Dolphins, every third down, virtually just zero blitz, just all out, cover 0, all out blitz. And it wasn't necessarily DNs and D linemen, although give Wilkins his credit. He got 1 big sack where he burned, Osiris Torrance. And Osiris Torrance is going to be a great player. He got beat on that play. It was a really good play by Wilkins on a third down in the red zone where it can't happen. But credit Wilkins. Outside of that, a lot of those hits and sacks were actually corners and safeties coming down in the box on these all-out blitzes. We figured out how to beat it, and Josh started beating it. halfway through the third quarter and they had to go away from it. So I think a lot of it was, yes, offensive line, but it took us a little bit longer than normal, I think, to kind of figure out the beat route to beat that all-out blitz that the Vic Fangio and the Dolphins were running. They had some success with it early on. It worked a couple of times. They kept going back to it. We adjusted and figured out a way to beat it.
I think that's correct. It took a minute to get to their adjustments. The main worry isn't the 3 sacks, it's the 9 hits, I think. They kept managing attacking them on after the fact. Yeah, Josh got it off, but he rolled out here and there. But you want to, in a playoff game, you want to, keep it kind of clean. We're gonna talk about the defense in a minute, but the Bills didn't lay nearly as many licks on Tua as the Dolphins laid on Josh. And the Bills theoretically have their, whole starting offensive line here.
Yeah.
You have to worry at least a little bit about that. Nothing wrong with it, but it's something they're going to have to sew up because Pittsburgh is absolutely the kind of team that'll exploit weaknesses like that.
Yeah, the offensive line has to play its best game, period. And we've seen them do it. We've seen this offensive line and this offense be able to step up to the challenge. They're going to have to do it this week. No question, they got to play better. And they were a little banged up. We lost Deion Dawkins for a couple of series, split his hand open, had to go get stitches. The Bills did not come out of this game clean. I think outside of that, my biggest worry is injuries heading into the first round of the playoffs here.
Yeah, the Gabe Davis joint wasn't great. And one thing I think is, again, Carl Landis-Moore said, kind of ironic. We both thought that the Bills, to win, had to hit Tua and win the turnover battle. You did not sack Tua. You did not win the turnover battle, but that's not really on the defense, right? You had 2 big picks. You had Rapp, Beneford here. I think especially the Rapp one that bailed off the offense late. Josh couldn't quite get it there with the 4th down sneak, and so the Dolphins got the ball back. That kind of took the pressure off. Thoughts on the defense overall here, man? You just have to be impressed with the way they played, right? Despite the Dolphins not having Jalen Waddle and Raheem Mostert.
Mills, it wasn't that long ago where people were calling for Sean McDermott's head. I mean, which I never went down that road with. You have got to give him credit for how he's held this defense together, given not just the injuries. Every team has injuries. The injuries to players you can't afford to lose. Losing Matt Milano, I cannot stress it enough. It is a major, major, major deal that breaks many teams. Tre'Davious White, they weren't happy with the corner situation. They go out and they get Rasul Douglas. He has been phenomenal. He goes out with the knee in this game. You got the backup of Matt Milano in there, Dotson, who wasn't even the original backup, who became the backup. He gets hurt. So many injuries here that they're having to overcome. Rapp, this play down the stretch here, which he actually got hurt on this interception. It looks like he's going to be okay. Huge offseason signing. Give credit to Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane for what they've done here. I am really impressed with this defense. Short of a couple, not being able to get off the field 1 or 2 games this season on fourth quarter drives. Short of that, this defense has really overcome a lot of adversity, and they're playing pretty well. He has a really good plan, a really good style. They held Miami to 14 points. I don't care who they got on offense. It's still a really good team. They still have their starting quarterback. They still have their number 1 wide receiver, right? They still had weapons all over the field. Holding them to 14 points with 3 turnovers on the offensive side of the ball for the Bills, that's a success.
Yeah, this is one of those spots where people could pick and choose what to point out and frame the game any way that they wanted. For instance, you could look at, all right, Tyreek Hill, Devin Achane, they both kind of got theirs, but you knew that was going to happen, right? I mean, Hill was targeted on 13 of Tua's 27 pass attempts, got in the end zone, as did Achane, but the longest play of the game was just a 25-yard run by Achane. That's a good job, right? The defense did what they had to do. They knew the Dolphins were going to run the offense through those 2 guys. Yeah, they got there. They both got in the end zone, but they held the Dolphins at 14 points overall. I think that's a pretty amazing job. And again, if you had looked and said, oh, they didn't sack Tua once, they only hit him twice, that's a pretty amazing outcome, I think. Again, if you want to selectively look at, the box score of the team stats.
Yeah, look, this is, I think, still one of the better offenses in football in Miami. And, they got theirs, but they limited the big play. The Bills, they make it really hard on you. You basically got to put together 12 to 14 play drives and essentially be perfect to get points on them. And they did this several times on a short field, bad overcoming turnovers. So I'm really proud of the way this defense played, and they did it with depth guys. So you got to give some credit to Sean McDermott and what he's done, kind of his first year being the head coach and calling the defensive plays. I think there's no question that this defense is better, even with the injuries, than it was last year. Better might not, different in a way that I like it. So I got to give him his flowers here, man. And Miami's a good team. We may see them again, but there was no weather, right? The Miami was home in South Beach, just the way they like it. Could have turned into a track meet. You got to credit the Bills for stopping that.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, overall, at the end of the day, the Bills had 26 first downs. Miami only had 16, and 2 of those were on penalties. They just did a great job of getting off the field on third down, which is huge because you don't need to sack the quarterback if you can get off the field on third down. It's basically an either or. If you can do both, congratulations, you're in a shutout. But really, you need to do one of those two things. And on this day, they couldn't get 2 on the ground, but they got them off the field on third down. So that's really what was the most important thing.
And it's hard to get, and we'll move on here, but it's hard to get 2 on the ground. It's a quick strike offense. He gets the ball out methodically at a very fast pace. So I really like that they confused Tua into the interceptions, not necessarily forced it through pressure and sacks and hitting him. Don't get me wrong, I would love to hit Tua because I think it's a quicker decline of his play, but they forced it through confusion in the back end and through what they were doing on defense with disguise and hiding where guys were. And I think that's harder to do, and they got there that way. And there was some pressure, don't get me wrong, but not, we've seen the Bills have games where they've gotten numerous sacks. That didn't happen. It's hard to do against this Miami offense. Quick strike, throw it to a spot. You got all the speed in the world at the receivers. They're going to be there. That's kind of what this thing's predicated on.
Yeah, credit the coaching staff. That is literally, that's who they are. That's what they hang their hat on. Nothing wrong with that. And we talked about the third phase of the game, special teams, the past couple of weeks here. Again, Sam Martin did a good job. Only 1 punt, not a 0 punt game, but got it inside the 20. Tyler Bass, T-Bass, no field goal attempts, made all his extra points. And the Bills only had 1 return, no kick returns. They just had 1 punt return. But Deontay Harty took it 96 yards to the crib. And that play, I would say, literally, it's not even the remix. It's the original change the game.
It straight up changed the game. No remix here. I mean, literally, you watch the momentum happen as soon as that play. It was like something triggered in the Bills. And not only that, dude, they get the 3 and out. We get the punt return. They get another 3 and out. Bills go down. I mean, it was like that was when things really started to turn here. And just shout out to sometimes Bills Mafia, we're used to fate working against us, and we're used to all the bad luck in the world, right? But sometimes fate aligns, the stars align. We got our lead in this game and went up 21-14 exactly with 7 minutes and 16 seconds left. Shout out to the 716.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't even know that. That's just very impressive overall. I love that, but I have to ask you, Jamie G, is that your Mafia moment? Whether it is, whether it's not, I still need you to tell us, what is your Mafia moment, your favorite moment from that sweet, sweet, sweet Week 18 victory?
This is a tough one, man. There was so many good moments. I have to give it up to Deontay Harty here. This is why we signed him. We needed him to come through clutch in special teams for us. We knew it was going to be tough to get him on the field on offense, just with all the weapons we had and the way this offense was going to go. This is why we signed him. And he had a ton of success in New Orleans. It was so nice to see this. This play catapulted the Bills out of their funk and allowed them to win their 4th straight. And I can't say it enough. 4 times in a row, AFC East Championship. That's hard to do in this league. It's just, in this division isn't a weak division. This is a good division of football. So I know the Patriots had a bad year and they're not a good football team. The Jets were competitive. Their defense was outstanding. Miami was a really good team. There was a lot of people that said Buffalo wouldn't even make the playoffs. Here we are, 11-6, number 2 seed, 4 times in a row AFC East champions. And a big part of that is that play by Deontay Harty. That is my Mafia minute.
That is his Mafia moment. And shout out Brandon Bean. I mean, he brought in Sherfield and Harty, right? Not huge cost acquisitions under the radar. Both scored huge touchdowns here down the stretch.
Yeah. Yeah. Bean we trust, man. He doesn't get them all right, but the dude's done enough.
Yeah, he's at least the executive MVP for week 18. And we don't need to crown an MVP, but we do need to add something to the Mafia mannequin. And if you haven't tuned in before, here's the deal. We start off with a naked mannequin, and every time the Buffalo Bills win, we start adding one Bills themed piece of merchandise onto him. So far, our mannequin has a Buffalo Bills white bucket hat, some Buffalo Bills sunglasses, a nice handlebar mustache, a Buffalo Bills Buffalo neck tattoo. He's got a sick gold rope chain. He's got a Thurman Thomas jersey. He's got some Buffalo Bills Zubaz overalls with a fish themed Bills Mafia tattoo going on. He has some Buffalo Bills Josh Allen themed chicken wing boxer briefs underneath those overalls. He's got a couple of practice receiver gloves. He's got a nice Rolex watch. He's got a Josh Allen sock. He's got some other socks. And, very, very, very most importantly, he has a bag of coffee beans, which are very explicitly fuck the refs coffee beans. Jamie G, you got another W. You get to add something to the mannequin. What are you doing?
Well, Bills Mafia, I think you'll be with me on this one. It's it's playoffs, baby. We're at home. We're gonna get a home playoff game, hopefully two. I think we might be able to get three. We got to keep winning. We got four more games, Bills Mafia. You know what time it is? Tailgate at the Ralph, out in Hammerlot. I say we need to get this bad boy a table because I hope and I believe that it won't be too long before we're lighting this sumbitch on fire and our homie, the mannequin, the Bills Mafia mannequin, is jumping through it. Let's give him a folding table, Bills Mafia style. He's out there on the tailgate. Mills, doesn't he look like he belongs in Hammerlot?
I believe that he deserves a table, but we can't say anything yet. We're just talking about the implication. Like, we're just
Yes,
going to
we
put the
are.
table there, and it's up to you to draw what the implication is.
I think we can figure it out.
Yeah, there can be no jinxing of the thing or the reverse jinxing of the thing, or you know what? The thing doesn't even exist. Who are you? Are you talking about the thing? I know nothing about. Who is this thing you're talking?
The thing down there? Yeah.
What are we doing? Is this a
Getting
Wendy's?
off the rails here.
It's a Wendy's. All right. Before we get out of here, we have to look back at the final score prediction from last week. Jamie G, you had the Bills triumphing 30-24 over the Dolphins, and you got there kind of by a similar margin, but not the exact score. It was Buffalo 21, Miami 14. You have to feel pretty good about that, right, Jamie G? Your predictions have been both right and close on the margin of victory lately.
I'm feeling good about them. As long as they're just right in overall win loss, I'm happy. But if I can get that extra cake and eat it too, I will take it, my dude. I will take it.
Awesome, because he has that good Bills energy. And thank you for checking us out. We will be back later in the week with a preview of the wild card matchup against the Steelers. You want to know what Jamie G's final score prediction is going to be? You got to tune in to find out. That's how it works. Jamie G, anything else to add before we get out of here?
Just Bills Mafia. Let's go. This is what we've been waiting for, man. Season starts now. We got four more games. I want to see you guys being as loud as possible. I want the place shaking. I want Mason Rudolph getting false starts and delay of games. Let's do our part to help the Bills win this game. Let's advance wild card weekend, and I'll see you right here next week. Win, lose, or draw. But we all know we got to get this dub.
You really have to. You cannot lose to Mason Rudolph at this point. I feel bad in saying that, but this is where you're at. This is what you need to do. And where you're technically at is checking out the Mafia Minute presented by Caesar Gap Fantasy Football. Find us wherever you get your podcasts out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, all the good ones. We are there on the YouTubes, all that good stuff on all the various social media things. Again, at Caesar Gap FF. And do not forget those flaps. But really, what it boils down to is you need to follow, like, and please subscribe. But most importantly, if you have fun, just click the thumb. That's it. The one thing right now, just do it. Do it at the beginning, do it at the end. And in fact, whenever you watch anything you enjoy, if you enjoy the first 10 seconds, just click the thumb. Helps the people out a lot. They always appreciate it. That's really all there is to it. Jamie G, just get Bills Mafia fired up before we get on here.
I got one last thing here. Bills Mafia, all of us, Bills fans around the world, we just won the AFC East. We're not done yet, but let's take a minute and celebrate this. This is pretty astonishing. This was probably the hardest we've had to get, hardest season in terms of doing this. But to win an AFC East championship or any division championship 4 years in a row is something, man. Don't let anybody take that away from us. That's awesome. That's not our main goal. That's one goal. We just hit that one. We're on to our next goal, which is to win a Super Bowl. But we just won the AFC East 4 times in a row, and make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it. The AFC East runs through Buffalo. Now, with that said, enjoy this one. Let's get ready. We've got a big one coming up, biggest one of the season. I can't wait for it. And you know what time it is. You're hearing that clock? It's time, because the Bills make me want to shout, go Bills.